startup. Such a cool word. And it's cool to be a founder in your 20s, right? Money beyond your wildest imaginations, fame, power, influence over the world. That's what everyone thinks it's all about in their 20s. Valuations, billion-dollar exits, and freedom. That's what it looks like from the outside. That's what I used to think, but I was wrong. And I had to learn it the hard way. I'm 25 now, and I wish I was better prepared for all of this. There's a lot of mistakes that I would have avoided if only I knew back then what I know now. And now Aryan might be on his way to make the same mistakes as I made. So I thought I should give you a full disclosure on what it's actually like to be a founder in your 20s. So, what's this company you want to start?
It's a gaming studio. It'll be India's first gaming studio that'll make AAA games like GTA, Far Cry, Wukong. I'll call it Imperium Universalis. I've even designed the logo.
Okay, but why startup all of a sudden? You're doing great here as well.
Yeah, I am, but I think it's time for me to be my own boss.
You don't like your current boss?
It's not like that, it's just, it'll be finally great to have all the profits. I mean, you can't create wealth off of a salary, like you'd agree. So I want to be known as the guy who created the gaming revolution in India. It's a blue ocean, and once I make my company, I'll have the entire pie to myself.
That's crazy, Aryan.
Yeah, it's always been my dream.
Every successful startup that you see today was once a dream. A dream to solve a problem, a dream to make it big in life, a dream to be known for something. Be it Flipkart, Zepto or Oyo. Aryan, do you know Ritesh Agarwal?
Yes, Oyo's founder, he's one of my personal idols.
He started Oyo back in 2011 when he was just 17 years old. He must have been just like you. Today, his company is valued at $2.5 billion.
Yes, 229 crores in net profit this year. And it's the second biggest hotel chain in China.
Do you know about Stayzilla?
Who?
Stayzilla?
Never heard of them.
Stayzilla started way back in 2005. It was called Inasra back then, and Oyo was not even in the scene. They were doing good, posting good numbers. In 2010, they realized the homestay vertical was bringing them the most revenue, so they decided to shift focus to only that vertical. In 2012, Oyo was still called Oracle Stays when Stayzilla raised seed funding of 2.5 crores. With this money, they went into hyperdrive, adding property after property to their existing chain. Within a year, they doubled the number of cities covered. Everything looked fine. Online booking space was growing rapidly. More and more people were using the internet now. Plus, Stayzilla enjoyed decent margins in homestays, and they were backed by investors. They were in the blue ocean, and they had the advantage of being there first. But in 2017, Stayzilla had to shut operations.
What happened?
Too many things. In an attempt to grow rapidly and eliminate competition, they started giving massive discounts. For every crore that they made, they were burning 4 crores. And it's a chain. They could not retain users because discounts can bring people in, but they can't make them stay. They exhausted their runway. In a last-ditch attempt to extend their runway, they cut down on marketing, cut down employee costs, they cut down on rent, but it was too late. And as a final nail to the coffin, the founder Yogendra Vasupal was found in jail for defaulting on a payment of rupees 1.69 crores.
And I didn't even know about them.
That is survivorship bias in action. We tend to remember only the startups that have succeeded. Media will cover them and they will become case studies. The failed startups disappear quietly, like a footnote, even though they might have done the exact same things as the startups that succeeded.
You're making me nervous about my decision.
Don't be, Aryan. I'm not saying this to scare you, but if you want to be a founder, you should know that anything can happen at any time. You'll play all the right moves and maybe even after that, you could lose. Vasupal had support when he was down, but not everyone will have that. Even Vijay Shekhar Sharma himself. It didn't take us even a minute to start trolling him after Paytm's IPO. So it is ruthless, it is unforgiving, and it is extremely demanding. Building your own startup can be very challenging, as we have seen in the video so far. But that won't stop a lot of people from starting their own online businesses. And a big problem all of them will face is in creating an online store. Maybe due to lack of budget or technical knowledge, they have not yet built an online store. That is when Odoo, our sponsor for today, comes in. If you're somebody who's facing challenges with your online store, then you need to check out Odoo's e-commerce builder. With this tool, you don't need to worry about having any technical skills. All you will have to do is follow 4 simple steps, starting by mentioning the type of business you're in, your color palette choice, the pages and features you need, and lastly, choosing from one of the 3 themes. Then Odoo does most of the work for you, from providing simple drag and drop UI UX features with which you can easily customize the page and add in your products. And speaking of products, it's super easy to add your whole catalog. All you have to do is click on New at the top right, choose the product and add in the name and price of your product, and your product page is ready to be customized. Further add in the images and description and make it more aesthetic. And you know the best part? You won't even have to dip into your funds because Odoo's first app is free for life with unlimited hosting and support and a free personalized domain name for the first year. So check out Odoo for all your online store needs. Now back to the video.
So what does it take to be a founder?
See, every founder will have a different story to tell. Some would say ability to take risks, some would say industry knowledge, and they'll all be right. But if you ask me, I'd say you need 3 things to be a successful founder: privilege, expertise,
And
most founders won't say this, but luck. Ideas by themselves are worth nothing. Execution is everything. The Winklevoss brothers also had the idea for Facebook, but they couldn't execute it like Zuckerberg. It takes money, skills, and luck to mount a startup. And you can't be found in a battlefield without this. See, entrepreneurship is not easy. And it's even harder when you don't have the privileges that others enjoy. These could be financial privileges. You could be from a well-to-do family. These could be network privileges. You could have access to people with affluence or influence. Or it could be an educational privilege where you've studied in a university with best-in-class faculty. Having privileges unlock opportunities that most others won't have access to. But not having privilege unlocks something even deadlier: spirit, resolve, hunger. Take Dr. Velumani for example. Today, he holds a check of 4,500 crores in his hand. But he's the same man who struggled for even 100 rupees to get a BSc admission. His family neither had the wealth nor the resources to send him to a good school or college. Fortunately, born in a poor family, as he himself says, and his poverty became the fuel with which he ignited his journey.
that man is something else only. I don't even know if I'm poor enough to be driven like him or rich enough to have a cushion. I do have my skills in place though. I have some expertise in gaming.
Enough to risk everything to build a startup?
I guess so. I've played so many games that I know how they're written. I know how they're programmed. I know how they're designed. I've learned it all online.
That's good, Aryan. That's really good. But have you built a game yourself before?
Yes, I did. A platformer. And I even put it on the Play Store.
How many downloads did it get?
A couple hundred. But that was just my first project. Just testing myself. I can do much better now. India is the biggest gaming market in the world, and it's only going to grow. So I need to start now to capture it. It's going to be a long journey till I build competency.
What's the size of the gaming market in India?
It's already 3.1 billion, and it's going to grow to $8.2 billion in the next 5 years.
And you want to produce games like GTA, right? How big is that market? Most of the $3.1 billion market you're talking about is mobile game and PC. Console is just 22%. Did you know this?
I did not.
Do you know about Gameon Studios or Nikhil Malankar? They've been trying to create an Indian GTA called Mumbai Gullies for years now. They're a small team, but they still haven't been able to release the full game since so many years.
How have they been sustaining?
You should tell me. They've been putting out small mobile games since 2013. They collected 1,77,000 in crowdfunding, but that was all for so many years. From 2021 to 2024, they've raised $1.52 million in funding, but it took them 11 years to reach here. And not to discourage you or anything, but you've not even started. They already had experience to begin with. Expertise in your field cannot be taken for granted. The more time you spend in an industry, the more you learn about its functioning. And it's not even enough to know just about your own industry. You have to have some sort of understanding for every related domain and how it's interconnected to your business and the market at large. You don't want to be stuck in a dying industry just because you don't know where and how to pivot. Tell me, do you want to be like Zuckerberg or Jobs?
Both.
You will have to choose. You can't be both. Either you can be the tech guy who builds the product or the business guy who runs the revenue. You will have to be one and choose a co-founder for the other. Do you have a co-founder?
No. And what role does luck play in all of this?
Baiju Ravindran, a teacher knowing the ins and outs of the industry, knowing the pain points of students, starts an edtech platform, reaches a valuation of $22 billion. What could go wrong? Turns out, a lot. When you're in the startup battlefield, you're at the mercy of the market. The same pandemic that boosted Baiju's to the crazy valuation, when it ended, it also started a downward spiral of layoffs, losses in revenue, down to a valuation of less than $1 billion. Ravindran, who was once prominently featured in Forbes with a net worth of 17,000 plus crores, is now worth 0 rupees. Luck can make or break you, and it's never in your control. What if Dr. Velumani's mentor had not given him that 100 rupees to change his education to BSc? What if he wasn't rejected from 50 interviews in Coimbatore? What if he'd never reached Mumbai for research? And what if the thyroid industry didn't have that big an opportunity for disruption? Dr. Velumani was just the right man, knowing to take the right decisions at the right time.
So how did you decide to become a founder?
I didn't decide, to be honest. I became a founder by accident. Quite literally. I co-founded IHO when I was 20. That was the first business. Did some things right, made some mistakes, and 4 years later, from those learnings, co-founded the second business in the media and content space.
Yes.
Yes.
But first startup in your 20s, what was that like?
It was, well, difficult. So I went with a severe road accident and I was put on N number of painkillers by the doctors, but the pain was still unbearable. Long story short, I was then introduced to hemp and CBD-based oils, which really helped ease my condition. But when I finally came out of it stronger, I had this strong urge in me to go and share my experience with others. And this was the spark of a dream. Me and my co-founder Rohit, who also happens to be the guy that I married, we saw a potential. We read so many success stories of hemp exploding in the US markets, and we thought we could be next, building India's first billion-dollar hemp startup. But that was our survivorship bias in action. We didn't know it then. So we started extensive research on hemp, anything and everything that we could get our hands on. We went to the mountains, spoke to hemp farmers on ground, tried to message different industry experts from doctors to lawyers to anybody who would agree to speak to two 20-something kids. And finally, after all that, we formulated our products. But launching in India was far more challenging than we thought. The market in India was very different from the US. No one really knew what hemp was. So instead of focusing on sales like any other founder would, we had to spend majority of our time in just educating the market on what hemp was. And there was no playbook to follow. There was no success story to copy. We had to develop everything from scratch.
But you were also one of the first in the market. Isn't that a good thing?
It is, I guess, in the long run. Of course, timing of the market plays a very important role, but it's not always about who comes first. Orkut came first, but Facebook took over. But anyways, in the early days, we faced a lot of unexpected challenges. Regulations, policy, we had to speak to the government to change laws. It wasn't like building any other company. It was literally like building an industry from scratch. And Neither me or Rohit come from a family business background. My dad was in the army and his parents are doctors. So the two of us would sit and do a lot of jugaad back then to figure everything out ourselves. From figuring out what the law is to company registration to me sitting and designing the logo and packaging, even though I knew zero about Photoshop back then, to becoming the customer support executives and making calls one by one, to standing in stalls for 10 hours at length and doing one-to-one sales. We did everything. And in the beginning, you have to. Anyways, we spent 4 years growing IHO into a profitable hemp business. But starting IHO taught me so many invaluable lessons that I'm now able to implement into YAS and grow YAS with much better decision making. Anyways, we were talking about tough decisions. You know, we had an acquisition offer to buy us out for several million at IHO. The money was tempting, but we said no.
You turned down millions? But why?
Sometimes it's not just about the valuation or the money, Aryan. It's running a business is much more than that. It's also about the value you create. It's about getting into the right marriage with your co-founders and investors and every stakeholder that you'll be working with. The people you'll be working with are the most important. And you know, if we took that money then, I wouldn't have been able to run YAS today. These are all irreversible decisions that have to be thought through really well.
That must have been a tough decision.
Entrepreneurship is a lot about taking these tough decisions, Aryan. Your decisions will ripple throughout the entire organization. Right now, you can still afford to take decisions that only affect you. I have to take decisions that will impact everyone, including you. So many team members, clients, different stakeholders, everyone needs to be kept happy every single day. Like YAS is more than 100 members strong in just a few months. And it's my responsibility to ensure we create a good ecosystem for everyone that's chosen to leave their homes and come and work with us here. Providing jobs to so many people is not just about their salary. There's so many more layers to it. And as a founder, you have to ensure the team is happy at the workplace, the clients are happy with the work we're doing for them. It all sounds easier than it's actually done. And if you want to be a founder, you have to be ready to wake up every day and solve 100 problems. Everyone else's problem becomes your problem. There's never really any turning off. No work-life balance. It's all work-life integration.
All of this is too much. It sounds too heavy.
Rules of the game, Aryan. Understand that there is a survivorship bias at play when you only hear about the success stories. Privilege. It really counts for a lot when starting up. Expertise. Your expertise is what separates you from the crowd, not the idea alone. You cannot discount luck. Even talented people can get unlucky. You cannot be wrong with the timing. Businesses are built and destroyed on timing. Identify what kind of a founder you want to be. What would you be better at? Creating a product or handling the P&L? And then go find a complementary co-founder. Can you make quick and correct decisions almost all of the time and handle the stress that comes with it? Are you okay with risking your work-life balance, or do you value freedom more? And can you pivot if the market demands it and if the business demands it? If you can say a yes to at least 7 of these, I'd say all the best on your entrepreneurship journey. How many did you get?
2.
Aryan, one last thing I want you to take from this full disclosure. It's not about not starting up in your 20s. It's about starting up when you are ready. If you want to be a successful founder, your 20s should be spent on getting ready with all things so you can become a successful founder one day. Your 20s are a unique time. You have energy, creativity, fewer responsibilities, and little to lose. Use this time wisely. Build your skills, expand your network, gain industry experience, and become the top 1% in whichever role you're in. So when you finally do start your company, you'll be much better equipped to handle all the challenges.
I get it. It's not what I wanted to hear, but I think it's what I needed to hear.
That's a mature response, Aryan. And remember, this doesn't mean you can't work on your ideas. Start small, fail fast, learn faster, and reiterate. By the time you're ready to go all in, you'll have a wealth of experience to draw from.
Thanks, Loveena. This has been really insightful.
You're welcome, Aryan. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one giving the stock to an eager young employee.
You think so?
I'm sure. And I look forward to that day. Now, shall we get back to work? We have a company to run after all.